Hello and welcome to That Shooting Show. My name is Steve Anderson. I am still your humble host. Probably day 12 on the road, something like that. A whirlwind trip to Dallas. Wonderful match mode class there. Home for one day where I got to work on my two specialties. You guys don't know this, but the things that I know the most about are I-core and revolver shooting. I had an extensive I-core revolver. Actually, none of those things are true. But I was able to help that guy get a GM score right out of the box. It took about 10 minutes. I always apologize when it takes 10 minutes to get a GM score. I know that's been terribly too long. We got that done, and we're straight to North Carolina. When you rap about North Carolina, you got to be really careful with the rhymes you choose because it can get PG-13 really quick. I went down to North Carolina. I went out looking for to feel finer. You got to be really careful rapping about North Carolina in your dad rap career. So we did that. Let's see. I think from there we went straight to San Antonio for the luxurious VIP experience in the, I disclosed the location. It's supposed to be undisclosed. We didn't say the state, though. It could be anywhere. It could be literally any state where you have to check for scorpions in your shoes. It could be anywhere. It could be Maine. It could be Idaho. It could be Columbus, for crying out loud. So just rewind and delete that we disclosed the undisclosed location. And so we sometimes do a thing I call the VIP experience. Typically, the shooter is retired and is in a good place to devote resources to the sport. And what they want to do is they want to achieve a goal relatively quickly. That is my specialty, if you buy into the whole system. And the system is a little counterintuitive for a lot of folks in the shooting world. When I got into the sport in the early 90s, JB will have to Google the early 90s. He might have been born in the early 90s. Joey Sauerland might need to get a history book out about the early 90s. But imagine a time with no internet and your phone did nothing but make phone calls and had a cord attached to it. It was so primitive that if you got involved in a motorcycle accident and messed up your hand, you had to ride that thing to the payphone. Just ride it to the payphone. What a crazy time that was. Amazing. And so buying into the system is critical if you want to get good fast. Back then, they used to say, it's going to take 10 years and 1,000,000 rounds to make master. Ask Jay Beal if it takes 10 years and 1,000,000 rounds. Ask Joey Sauerland if it takes 10 years and 1,000,000 rounds. It doesn't. Heck, Joey was probably master class for about 10 minutes, right? He says to me, I don't really care about the G. I want to dominate national and world competitions. I want to be the best iron sight pistol shooter on the planet. The G will come along that process and poof, there it is. So let's talk about how to buy into the system. What you've got to do, and what I am extremely good at, is you've got to isolate accuracy and speed in your training. Well, it don't matter how fast I go if I ain't hitting nothing. That happened once yesterday. You did something extraordinary. It'd be nice if I hit the target. Well, you set a speed goal and we achieved it. And we didn't hit the target the first attempt. And that's okay. That's perfectly fine if that happens. But most people will say, this is not working. I can't do this. I got to go back to being slow. That's why your draw stays at 1-3, because when you get a 110 or a 112 and you don't get an alpha, you think it's a failure. Right? So you got to think about a beautiful punch bowl and a turd. That's what you got to think about. Okay? And we'll come back to that in a minute. The other thing that you have to do is you have to understand that every time you touch your gun, every time you think about your gun, every time you have any thought or idea or attitude regarding shooting, you are sending an imprint to your self-image that is a prediction for the future. That's what you're doing. Okay? And you may think you can outsmart this. I assure you, you cannot. Smart people think they can outsmart these principles. You cannot. It's just not possible. So please don't try to do it. So when we're talking about speed and accuracy, one of the things we did here was Mr. Undisclosed Location Man desired to reach a certain point in his shooting career. Okay, that's cool. So we go out and find some exercises that involve movement that we're going to use to evaluate what his current skill level is, right? So here's what we do. We go shoot it for score, and then we identify a goal. And when you identify your daily goal, it's really important to pick something you think you can do today. That's critical. For example, if I've got a 10-second L-Pres, a 950 is perfectly reasonable. But you're probably not going to go from a 10-second L-Pres to a 6-second L-Pres in one practice session with good hits. So you've got to be smart. You've got to be really, really, really smart. Let's take a 10-second L-Pres, for example. Okay, I got shot a 10-second L-Pres. I want to go a little bit quicker than that. So you get in your timer and you find the longest period of non-shooting. In that event, it's either going to be the draw or the reload. Most likely to be the reload. Okay, so what do I got to do to decrease the amount of time spent not shooting? And then you chip away at that. And while you're doing that, the hits may not be great. And the hits are not important for a short period of time. And how long a period of time that is totally up to you, but you got to be smart, okay? That's why having me around is so helpful. Because I will force you to be smart. I'm not going to let you be dumb. And if you're in an environment where you're accumulating negative imprints, can't do this, not working, why can't I do this, blah, 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 you've got to take control of those imprints and remove the turd from the punch bowl. Well, you're telling me just to ignore my mistakes and just give myself a participation trophy, pat myself on the butt, tell me I'm special, I'm great, and everybody likes me. Well, some of that's true, but we're not telling you not to chip away at your perceived weaknesses. What we're doing is we're telling you to chip away at those opportunities for improvement from a place of strength and competence instead of from a place from weakness and incompetence, right? So this gentleman in the undisclosed location has been training with a lot of people. And I don't really know a lot about how anybody else does this stuff. I just know that I found a way that works. I'm not saying my way is the only way. I'm saying my way is a way that works. And we have demonstrable proof of that. We have dozens, if not hundreds of shooters rapidly achieving goals, just knocking them out of the park. Heck, I always joke, Rich Alloway in Pennsylvania has won more stuff than I can keep track of. It's just as simple as that. When you buy into the system, it's just like diet and fitness. Every diet plan in the world works if you buy into the system. Every fitness plan in the world works if you buy into the system. If you do 70% of it, you're going to get 70% of the results. But if you buy into it 100%, your percentage of results will be much, much closer to 100. Okay? Mr. Undisclosed Location co-host man, do we keep going down the turd road, or are we going to want to talk to people off the ledge? Ledge or turd? Ledge or turd?
Ledge.
Ledge. Okay. All right. So, give me a little bit more New York accent next time. It's okay if you don't want to participate, but it's okay because you came to me first, and that way I don't got to find out about it from Aunt Judy. Why am I finding out about it from Aunt Judy? You could have come to me. Bada bing, bada boom. This freaking guy. So, ledge. The reason people need to be talked off the ledge is because they're looking for speed and accuracy gains at the same time. This is why they used to say it takes 10 years and 1,000,000 rounds to make master. I get a little bit more accurate, but I'm slower. So I'm failing. I get a little bit faster, but I'm not having good hits, so I'm failing. So neither one of those, and it's going to take 10 years. Like if you look at the L-Pres and you insist on all alphas as you try to go from 10 to 9, that is going to take a very, very, very long time because every Charlie is a failure. I can't do this. This isn't working. I got to do something different. But what if you dry fired that L-Pres at 6 seconds for 30 minutes? Okay. I promise you the live fire time will now be less than 10 seconds. I virtually guarantee it. I can't promise all alphas. Remember, we're talking about 10 minutes have passed between your 10-second L-Pres and your 6 and change. Anybody who thinks they can go from 10 to 6, which I think is a 40% decrease in time, something like that. Anybody who thinks they can do that quickly and keep alphas the entire time is dreaming. They're just absolutely dreaming. It's not going to happen. But what we can do that's very, very easy, shoot something for score, take that as a baseline, and then establish a goal. And then if you're ammo sensitive, right, if you don't want to spend a lot of rounds, all you got to do is dry fire that thing. Dry fire that thing and put a par time on your goal. It's probably best to dry fire a little bit quicker than you want your live fire time to be. Depending on distance of targets, 20%, 30% in there somewhere, because you're teaching your body how to perform the task in a less amount of time. And while you're doing that, the hits on, especially in dry fire, right? This is what I need to do to achieve this time goal. This is what my body needs to learn how to do. And then at some point, you load the gun. And guess what? The hits aren't going to be perfect. Hits might not even be great, but you will for sure have reduced some time on that exercise, for sure. And then you have a vision of a turd and you're on the ledge. You are literally on the ledge holding a turd. And then you got to be talked off that ledge. We only got close to it on one occasion, right? Mr. Undisclosed Location Man shot something with an A-class score. We achieved a master class run on that in about, I don't know, I think it took us about an hour to get a master class run. It actually was a high B to start with. And then we got a master class run in about 45 minutes, and we were super close to the G. And this is where you have a decision to make, right? I have created this beautiful punch bowl, sterling silver, Italian tile, gold trim. It's a beautiful punch bowl. And if I haven't got to the G 30 minutes later, you could put a turd in it, or you keep the turd out of it. You're on the ledge, holding your beautiful ornate punch bowl with a giant turd in it, and you're looking at the turd. I feel like, people talk about TED Talks, and I'm not 100% sure. I think I know what a TED Talk is. Consider this your turd talk, okay? You got to be smart. You got to look at what you've accomplished. Hey, I started out high B. Hey, I just did a master class run in about an hour. I didn't quite get the G, and I'm getting tired. Maybe I'm getting a little bit frustrated. Okay, that's cool. We can move on and do something else. But you got to take the turd out of the punch bowl, right? Because if you keep the turd in the punch bowl, the next time you present the punch bowl, there's going to be a turd in it. By the way, this was my idea. The whole thing's my idea. I'll go ahead and take credit for it. So that's what you got to do. And it's very, very counterintuitive, right? Have I ever told you guys about shooting a piece of steel support hand only in under a second 3 times in a row? Would you like to hear more about that? Yes, of course you would. So I went down to my range. I was looking to make an impressive video for marketing to remind people that Anderson can still shoot. Hey, newsflash, young people, Anderson can still shoot. Believe it or not. So, and I was going to do 4 alphas. I think it's 4 alphas in 4 yards in under a second. First attempt was not close to a second. I did a little math. I'm going to need a first shot in the 50s. I don't know if I can do that today. My all-time best first shot's a 53. 60, but can do all day long. 60 is not a problem on a close target. But 50 or lower at 4 yards, I don't know if I can do that today. Okay, so that's great. I'll move on to something else. I'm not going to choose that goal today because I don't think I can accomplish it in one day. I don't think that's going to happen. And that's not a self-image failure. That's just an honest assessment of skill, right? You type A negative guys ought to love that. It's an honest assessment of skill, okay? So I said, okay, I have never put my weak hand first shot on the clock. Never done it. I've been dry firing this thing at 0.6 for 20 years, but I've never put it on the clock because I really don't care. If I have a weak hand stage to shoot, the difference between winning that stage or losing that stage or doing well or not doing well is not going to be the first shot, right? The first shot's going to be sporty. What's really more important than that, obviously, is the hit factor, blah, 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 blah. So, first attempt, 179. Okay, that's a decent place to start, I guess. I don't really know. Did it again, 150. That's getting better. In the 140s, that's pretty cool. And then the most exciting thing happened to me. I missed at 119. I'm crafting this beautiful punch bowl, this ornate gold and silver, platinum crusted, bejeweled. Oh, by the way, did you guys know that when Beyonce got engaged to Jay-Z, not a lot of people know this, but when Beyonce got engaged to Jay-Z, she changed her name for a very short time. Did you see that in the news? Yes, she became, wait for it, fiance. So here I was. I'm crafting this beautiful punch bowl with my support hand only shot on steel, 119. Many people would see that as a turd in their punch bowl. I saw it as an extra jewel because that means I can do this today. And I got so excited. Many people would have quit. 119 with a miss, can't do it. It's not what I said. I said, if I can present this gun and fire it at 119, I called the miss, by the way, and this was, I believe, this was with iron sights. Called the miss, bigger than Christmas, not a problem. Oh, and by the way, a poor shot that you call is not an accuracy problem. It is a shot calling victory. See what I did there? I pulled that turd right out of the bowl. Well, you're just making excuses for failure. Hey, keep telling yourself that, bud. Just keep telling yourself that. And I actually asked Mr. Undisclosed Location Man yesterday, I don't know the difference between an excuse and a reason, right? If I call the shot high, am I making an excuse or am I identifying the reason? I've never quite understood the difference. You're just making excuses. I think I'm providing reasons, okay? So after my 119 miss, I got super, super excited. And I set a par time, I believe, something like 90 seconds, and I dry fired it. I'm so close. All I have to do is burn in the feeling of getting that gun out of the holster and onto the steel target in less than a second. That's all I got to do. And I did that for some amount of time. And then I set the camera up. Now the camera introduces pressure. Pressure is stress caused by the perceived importance of the event. This event is not that important. Nobody knows I'm doing this. I'm not live on TV. There's no film crew watching me do this. This shouldn't be a problem. But I felt some pressure because I want to be able to do this. Doesn't matter where the pressure comes from. You don't need to understand it necessarily, although you can if you think about it. But here's what you have to know about pressure. All it can do is amplify whatever you are thinking and feeling. And I know this. So I said, okay, I'm feeling a little pressure. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let this amplify my reaction to the start tone. As Drew Maruski says, I'm going to hear the click. Those of you that have AMG-lab.com commanders and timers, there's a click before the start tone when you touch the button. Drew Maruski can hear the click. So I said, I'm going to be Drew Maruski. I'm going to hear the click. And it didn't take very long. I think it was a 92 or a 97 or something like that. It was for sure under a second. And then I realized the camera was only on the left side. So that means you couldn't see my right hand go for the gun. And I went, great. Some keyboard warrior troll is going to accuse me of having the gun in my hand or something else. So now I got to do it from the right side. And then I said, okay, I'm going to go a step further. I'm going to do it 2 times in a row. And I did. If I had stopped with the miss at 119, that wouldn't have happened. And if I had stopped with the miss on 119, 20 years of imprints of dry firing that exercise at a .6 would have been temporarily replaced by a turd. Your last thought about your shooting, your last thought about any aspect of your shooting skills is a fact in the short term. After some amount of time, it will be replaced by the consensus of those thoughts. But for a short period of time, your last thought, remember that's an imprint, is a fact. If you get DQ'd, it is a fact that you are an unsafe shooter who doesn't know the rules. But that doesn't need to last very long. In that example, it could last 30 minutes. Could last until your next competition. But if you don't go compete again, that last imprint could remain the turd in your punch bowl. So you got to systematically remove the turds out of your punch bowl. You know, it's fine. It'll work. I'm just imagining the email from Lanny Basham about self-image. You know, Steve, we don't really want to talk about imprints as turds in the punch bowl. That's what they are. I think he'd be fine with it. I think he'd be just fine. So let me look at the notes here from Mr. Undisclosed Location Man. You got to buy into the system, which means work on speed or accuracy in isolation. That's very easy to do. And then controlling the imprint is positive. Yeah, so we talked about that. We're in great shape. All right, so this is our final day here in the VIP experience in the Undisclosed Location. We're going to wrap up with, we're going to do a little bit more technical stuff, and then we're going to finish out the day with some match mode stuff. I just want to remind you, we are booking for next year. And I also want to please again ask you for your patience. I have been traveling for a long period of time, and I know there's emails, Anderson Insider emails. I'm pretty much off the road November, December. So we'll be able to do those consults to our heart's content. You got to just be a little bit patient with me when I'm on the road as far as the email's concerned. I will get to those, I promise. But if you want to do a VIP experience someplace where it's warm, you just let me know, and we'll take care of that. I can promise you, if you do these things, we will save you years of struggle. If you're getting into the sport a little bit later in life, you don't have 5 years to screw around. You don't have 10 years and 1 million rounds to make master. You can do it very, very, very quickly. Okay? And we got to do the sponsors. Number one, Walther USA is the title sponsor of the program and of AndersonShooting.com. Mr. Undisclosed Location Man got a phone call from a friend of his wanting to buy a gun. And I'm listening to this very patiently. And I couldn't take it anymore. I started waving my hand. Hey. Walther, W-A-L-T-H-E-R. Walther has a 30-day money-back guarantee on any competition-appropriate pistol. I don't think the highly engraved PPK James Bond special, it might be the J. Beale special. I don't think the Walther PPK has a 30-day money-back guarantee with the jewels on it. Don't think so. But anything else that's competition appropriate will have a 30-day money-back guarantee. If it's a gun you're considering for the spouse or you're going to share with a spouse who has smaller hands, the F model is not just for females. Some males that have less than average size hands really like those F series. Check them out. 30-day money-back guarantee. Targets USA, as you know, manufactures the finest steel targetry on the planet. CR Speed makes the finest gun handling gadgetry you can put around your waist or anywhere else. Hunter's HD Gold is the only eyewear that I wear. We had a moment on the first day. We went out in the afternoon. Mr. Undisclosed Location Man takes his glasses off, very, very expensive high-end glasses. And he's like, I can't see. It's getting dark. So I was like, okay, well, we'll just try these. He goes, that's pretty good. Remember, Hunter's HD Gold were designed to see a deer antler at 200 yards at dusk and dawn. So that's why they're there. Okay, that brings us to the AMG-lab.com Commanderson timer. What's really cool about that is it puts the times into the tablet. Is anybody getting beat by 2 seconds on a field course? You don't know why? Everybody's shouting at their radios right now. What you can do with the AMG-lab.com Commanderson timer is you can run a stage, and then the biggest numbers are put into the tablet in bold print. So you can literally see the biggest numbers. And it's never going to be the splits, gang. Write that down. It's never going to, the splits are never going to be the biggest number. So you don't go to work on those first. Capiche? Forget about it. All right, so shoot a field course. Hey, here's the 2 big numbers. Let's go check these out. How can we reduce the time from this event to this event? I got a couple ideas. Let's try that. Oh, buddy, it's magical. It is magical. Counterintuitive, but magical. How can I get from here to here in less time? Let's try this. Okay, that worked really well. Okay, this number's over here. We can use the same technique here to reduce that amount of time. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom. 2 seconds off the field course. And you A-class shooters, when was the last time you got 2 seconds off a field course? Once you get to A-class, the gains are going to be incremental, but the imprints are monumental. Incremental, monumental. What that means is, particularly once you get to the M and the G, you're looking for tenths. M or G is not going to get 5 seconds off a field course. Now, if you're a C-class shooter, I can get you 5 seconds off a field course. I can totally do that. It doesn't take very long, by the way. Oh, somebody sent me an email today about doing a kind of beginner's class at M160 in Dallas. I am all in. And if you're listening to this program and you're new, or if you have a group of shooters, don't want to assume it's a ladies group, but ladies tend to congregate in groups when they're newer, more so than men do. Not really sure why, but if you have a ladies group that's new to competition, ladies, I can save you years of struggle. We can do that. We can do a beginner's class. I would love to do a beginner's class someplace where it's warm in the winter. That would be awesome. Is warm in the winter counterintuitive? No, because places where it's warm in the winter, they still call it winter. Perfect. We can do all that. We're looking for 2024. Oh, I didn't finish up the sponsors. OutdoorDynamics.net remanufactures the finest competition ammunition you can dispense from a Freedom Seed dispenser. And ShootingSportsInnovations.com is a lot to type because it's a lot to see. When you get there, you'll be greeted by a vast cornucopia of shooting accessories, many of which you didn't even know that you need. So, just to sum up today's podcast. When you're training, you got to keep the turds out of the punch bowl. You're either working on speed or you're working on accuracy in isolation. Those are both pretty easy to do. If you're having an accuracy problem, it can only be sight or trigger. Grip, 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 grip. Oh, okay, grip. Fine, grip. We don't even have time for that. We are in an era of unprecedented grip analysis. Yes, grip is important. I get it. But the guys talking about it are shooting 59-ounce guns with bunny fart ammo. Grip, 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 grip. Okay. But I'm going to tell you the secret. The secret is 12% more pressure in your support hand pinky. Don't tell anybody. But you've got to get to exactly 12% more pressure. 13 is too much. 11 is not enough. 12% more. 12%. It's got to be done. It's like the guy that, when I was talking to Joey, the guy that wanted to know what Joey's PSI was on his support hand grip, Joey's like, I don't know, dog. Sights lift and return. Everything's tracking vertically. Grip must be okay. And he shoots a 40 cal major gun. Very, very interesting. So as you're training, as you're crafting your beautiful punch bowl of success, even if you smell a turd in your punch bowl, got to remove it, man. Got to put a vanilla candle in there. It's much more pleasant. It's very counterintuitive. If you're type A negative, you're not going to like it. But you've got to do it. You've just got to. Otherwise, you're going to take your punch bowl to the match. It's going to be full of turds. You don't want that. Nobody wants that. I don't want it for you. I want you to take a beautiful punch bowl to the match free of turds. All right, folks, hope you've enjoyed today's program. We got to go outside. You know what we're getting ready to do. Be like me. Say it with me. 1, 2, 3. Get to work.